Hello, nervous system.
Yeah.
Humans are driven by two things, whether it's pain or it's pleasure. And if you're smart, you're going to use both. I became jack of all trades, master of learning. Obviously, master of my own learning self. Even a thought can have an influence on our physiology and on the world. Every nervous system is unique and it constantly changes. So it's an ever-changing snowflake. That consciousness, that level of awareness changes everything, changes the state in a second.
And welcome to Love Always Self. I'm Shyra.
Hi, y'all. I'm Karista, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Love Always Self.
Hi.
As you see, we have a third person with us. We have a very special guest with us, JJ Ruescas. Did I say that correctly? First of all,
have you been practicing your eyes?
I have.
Nice. That's
well,
nice.
wonderful. Off to a good start. So let me just introduce JJ. He is a human optimization strategist. He began his career in the world of technology, but driven by curiosity and the desire for continuous improvement, he immersed himself in topics such as productivity, neuroscience, psychology, optimal breathing, nutrition, cloud technologies, and more. In itself, he became his own guinea pig with the goal of personal optimization. Thanks to this, JJ currently is a high-performance and results coach for startup founders and executives, focusing on understanding our psychology, the effect of mindset, preventing burnout, and improving productivity and flow states. Utilizing different techniques such as meditation, mindfulness, and breathwork, he teaches people how to rest and reset the nervous system and improve emotional regulation, all while guiding individuals in growing into their optimal selves. Welcome, JJ.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you.
Yes.
It's been a wonderful morning so far. He has already blessed us with the experience of doing a breathwork session. So I think we will probably end up recording our own personal what happened with that later on.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
But we wanted to have you on to help explain to our audience and encourage them to start utilizing some of the tools and help them understand why we need these tools to help ourselves become better selves and work more optimally. But first, JJ, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hello, nervous systems.
Hello, nervous systems.
This is JJ Ruescas, and I'm a human optimization strategist. Now, many people ask me, what the hell is that, right? And like we were talking about, this is something that I had to come up with. And it's in the introduction, you were talking about how I started my career in the tech world. Then I was thinking, wait a second, probably my career started the moment that I started giving allowance to my curiosity to just follow through naturally. And obviously, the quickest path of my curiosity to start getting into what fulfilled my spirit, let's say, was technology. I have this desire since I remember, this desire of improving things. Many times what it happened is that when I used to see a system not working fine, I used to ask, why the hell is this working this way, right? That was against literally against an authoritative figure, right? So that doesn't bring you that many friends. But I have this in my mind, this inquiry, the constant inquiry about things, not from an annoying point of view, but I was trying to use one of the senses that is not really commonly used, which is the common sense. And like, if people are jumping from this bridge, why do I need to jump from this bridge?
Yeah.
And over the years, obviously later as a teenager, that created a lot of friction, you can notice. But over the years, I was able to find in technology a way for me to express or to reach out this desire for continuous improvement, because technology evolves so quickly, right? And thanks to that is that now in the world of technology, that's when I started discovering this thing called Kaizen. Kaizen is this Japanese concept of continuous improvement. There's no way to translate really what Kaizen means, because it is a philosophical and abstract concept, but in English, the best way that we can describe it is like continuous improvement on anything. And thankfully, I did not equate technology with Kaizen, meaning, it comes from here and it has to stay there. But what I did is, okay, if they are interrelated here, where does Kaizen can also be applied? More like a meta philosophy, right? And because I'm constantly asking, how can I improve this? How can I improve this? How can I improve this? From the tech world that moved into this organic technology, right? Starting with oneself. Many times I talk to people and I say, I remember my mom used to store all the user manuals from all the devices that you used to get. Microphone, user manual. Microwave, user manual. Everything,
I
right?
still do it.
There's like a whole
That's
drawer
what I asked.
downstairs
Hey,
of
Mom, so
that.
where's
Yeah.
this? Where's this
Yeah.
guy's user manual? There's no user manual. We need to figure out this user manual. Obviously, we have references from other people. But at the end of the day, and you will hear me saying this many, many times, every nervous system is unique. So we all need oxygen, we all need food, we all need sleep. But the timing, the dosage, and the how that is unique to every human, right? And I decided to become my own guinea pig, right? Trying to improve things, and that's how it started getting into the path of what I do nowadays.
Sometimes when we have conversations with others and we ask them, like, what led you down this path of growth? Like, what drove you? For you, do you feel like there was anything else outside of like your intrigue and your passion to move forward and grow in that space? Or do you think that there was anything else that might have like caused a trigger of like, you know what, I can do more, I can connect with more?
It was a combination of two things. It may have started as a kid with curiosity, but it got accelerated with pain. Emotional, physical, mental pain. Especially I remember when I moved here, and I was telling you I used to live not far away from here, and I used to date a girl that lives around here. So when I was driving over here, all of those memories were coming to my mind. And that relationship ended up in such a drastic way. Drastic, I mean, for the person I was at that time, and that fractured my identity. Thankfully, fractured my identity. And because of the pain that I felt, is that I said, there has to be a way to solve this. There has to be a way to solve it. And now the interesting thing is that because of that event and the curiosity that paired up with that, is that now I understood many things, and I can now share with other people, oh, I've been there, right? So we humans are driven by two things, whether it's pain or it's pleasure. And if you're smart, you're going to use both at the same time.
That's so important. Yeah. And it's important to identify a little bit and be aware of which one you're choosing at any given time. Yeah. Fascinating.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about the human optimization that you've developed over time. Like, what were the trials and errors? What kind of experiences did you pull in to have for yourself to help develop this system?
Yeah. It is the work of 12, 13 years around that time that I've been collecting and diving into areas. Okay, if I felt emotional pain, not knowing what I didn't know at that time is like, where do I start from? That's when the majority of people stop. I don't know where to start.
Feels overwhelming.
Overwhelmed, stop, feeling pain, okay, numbing, and that's it. Right?
Yeah.
And so in my case, the curiosity led me to dive into psychology, into emotional management, into understanding what are the common spiritual pains even at some point, right? Reading books from all sorts of people and not attaching to any. So something that helps me, I see as an advantage of myself is that I pray to every God and I believe in none at the same time. Meaning I learn from all of them. I experience all of the dogmas and the schools, and I cherry pick what works for me. And that's what I also encourage people to do when they come to my breathwork sessions. For example, I tell them, okay, come here, you may like this one. And at the same time, I invite you to go and try other ones so that you can craft your own method and then come and teach me. That is the purpose of this. So by diving into this area and then this other one and then this other one, then my curiosity took me into this other one and this other one, I started collecting chunks of depth of body of knowledge, of different bodies of knowledge. Obviously, someone will think, oh, jack of all trades, master of none.
It's like one of my favorite sayings.
Which is true until, guess what? When the brain starts doing something over and over again, the brain cannot stop itself, but finding ways to optimize it. And that's when I thought, that's when I realized that I became master, jack of all trades, master of learning. Obviously, master of my own learning self. Even I developed a framework called Optimal Learning Framework. I was 2 weeks ago at Texas State University sharing this to a group of grad students or their MBAs, etc., showing them how I accelerate learning, and now how do I pair that up even with AI.
Wow.
I love that.
Right. So if it was working very well at that time prior to AI, you can see that goes with AI now, right? And obviously, people used to tell me, and I used to work in tech, so I used to be a DevOps engineer. Now, why DevOps? DevOps has this idea of continuous improvement, of failing fast, which is, now you can feel like, cocaine for my system, like, oh, let's go there, right? And what had happened is that I remember people used to tell me when I was still a developer, so what do you do? And I said, well, I don't know, right? Because I didn't want to say I'm a developer because it didn't fit. It didn't feel like a suit that fit me. And but you're a developer. I'm like, yeah, okay. Then I changed to DevOps engineer. Oh, you're a DevOps engineer, blah, blah, blah. But it never fit fully. And because I started diving into all of these other areas, what was I going to tell myself? Even at some point I thought, wait a second, if Leonardo da Vinci would be alive right here, right now, what would his LinkedIn profile say?
No kidding.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a solid point.
Right.
That's a solid, wow.
Well, what would he would have said? And I said, why do I need to comply to a label that is going to box me into something?
Yes.
Right. And and over the years, since I dove into emotional intelligence, into physiological optimization, into psychological optimization, and I love humans, and I love to optimize things. And I know that there is no one single way to optimize a human. So there are many ways. And those ways are called strategies.
Yeah.
When a strategy doesn't work, we're going to try another one. When that doesn't work, another one. When that doesn't work, another one. And at some point, something is going to work.
That's beautiful.
And so that is how I came up with, I'm a freaking human optimization strategy. And that feels so good. Like, it feels so nice every time that I want to say it. I'm a human optimization strategist. And now that is the identity, at least for this period of time. Maybe in the future it's going to change, and I'm okay. I can let it go.
That's beautiful adaptability too, into or not even adaptability. Honestly, it's like the flexibility that you're giving your own self.
The constant evolution.
Right. Like you're allowing yourself to have a flow with life. Which we talk about all the time here, is that how important it is and how different and drastic and how much it can improve your emotions and your connection with yourself when you're in a flow state.
Exactly.
And we often tend to get stuck out of flow state and
in the labels.
Right.
Label.
Yeah.
And the expectation.
The expectation to stay in a certain box and don't leave it. Yeah. Which I've never conformed to very well. So
it gets claustrophobic.
yeah,
It is
in a sense.
Indeed. At some point it may work. I'm not saying that labels do not work, but at some point the label is just inhibiting growth.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for it.
Yeah.
And then you grow.
That's very true. What would you say is some of your favorite ways to go into a practice and helping someone else?
Nowadays, it's super cool. I mostly work with the startup founders and leaders because I love weird, smart people. I love them, right? And I'm not saying that they are the only ones like that.
Yeah.
Everyone has curiosity within us, but people like them, they decide to act upon their curiosity, or creators, or people that have this growth. Even to work with me, I have 5 requirements, and everyone that works with me, they know what are those 5 requirements. And if they don't check the boxes, we may not be a good fit yet. Not yet. But they know that one of them is continuous learning and growth. I need them to be able to absorb information at their own rate, but being able to keep learning and learning, because I'm going to throw a lot of information down there, down their brains, but also get them into situations when they need to exercise their nervous system. So answering part of your question, it is getting people out of the conventional behaviors. That's one of the ways, because if someone is, for example, stuck, and let me give you an example. 2 years or 3 years ago, I had this client who was stuck in a situation where he couldn't express to his leadership team the way that he was feeling. And because of that, it was his decision, right? But not a cognitive decision. Every time that he wanted to explain something, he went constricted, and that created an output that the output was not something that he liked or his company liked at some point, right? And it was not leading to where they were getting. Now, changing the approach, that didn't mean that they were going to get what they wanted, but it meant that he was choosing a different behavior consciously. So by the moment that he was about to feel constricted, okay, changing posture, breathing deeply, what's the narrative? Okay, let's go with this one. Right. And surrendering to whatever that happens. And obviously, many times you're going to stop having the same result and you're going to start fluctuating into better results. That's when the results parts come. If we keep doing the same thing, we're going to keep very likely having the same results.
That's very true.
Right. So it is flexibility. What I apply mostly is mental, emotional, and physiological flexibility that I help people to expand. Not only the one-on-one clients that I have, but also in any other breathwork session that we do. We're starting with our breath, right? I remember a few years ago, and I've told a few times this story, but there was a group of leaders of a very well-known tech company in the US that came to Austin, and I was facilitating breathwork for them. I was leading breathwork. Now, none of them really asked, I want to have a breathwork session with JJ. They didn't know who JJ was. They didn't even know what breathwork was.
Yeah.
Okay. The coordinator of the event said, "Oh, this is gonna be so cool, right?" But you did not ask. The point is that
The shock.
Obviously, and then you get people into this scenario. I'm talking about tech leaders, not only the tech leaders, right, from all over the U.S. You name it. As soon as they're getting into the huge room that we had, they said, "What is this fucking woo-woo thing?" Right? Can I curse, by the way?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
18 and up.
and one of them was this very rigid man. I remember him, like so rigid. Like, "Hi, nice meeting you." No. He gets in. I said, "Button up, even here." The tie. Oh, I said, "This is gonna be interesting." I have my ways to create connection with the audience. I have my ways. End of the session, the guy, many people come talk to me one-on-one because they want to share one-on-one their experience or come and ask questions. So this man approached, but he was levitating. He was not walking. He was levitating.
Just zoomed over to you.
Yeah, like, shh. And he says, "Thank you so much." And his entire resemblance changed, right? And he said, "JJ, thank you so much. This practice did not only increase my lung capacity, increased my emotional capacity."
Wow.
And he was so relaxed and so happy. I said, "Oh, wow, what did I give him? Oxygen?"
Wow.
Amazing. That is amazing, because I felt the same way. I mean, we just went through this with him, and I feel the same way. I'm like, I can't believe I'm this relaxed. Like, I'm even just chilling in the seat right now, like way more relaxed than normal. And I was like, you know what? Like, walking into the room, turning on all the cameras, it was just a moment of like, everything's just going to work the way it's supposed to today.
And Shyra, what if this is the new normal?
I know. So you'll have to come back and teach me some more so it stays in memory to continue doing this.
Yeah. It's going to be there. That's the point. So that we don't even need to think about it, but we're operating our optimal state.
To help create new patterns of optimization.
That's so great.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Great.
So you had mentioned earlier, and you also actually said, hello, nervous systems. And so I want to ask you how that is correlated to the breathwork practice.
Yeah. What we were talking about it is I called the nervous system, or I have this framework, the human ops framework, which is It's a framework for human optimization. That doesn't mean that there are strict steps to optimization. I cannot come and say you need to have a cold plunge every day, or no, you need to eat that much food, or calories, or go into any diet specifically.
Yeah.
No. But it's a framework where we can start and then find our way upwards, upgrading. And the point is that this framework has physiology, psychology, and emotions, those three elements, like the hardware, the software, and the energy that makes them all run, let's say.
Right.
And all of them converge into this convergent point, which is the nervous system. I was reading the other day a book of Damasio, this neuroscientist, and he says the nervous system was created so that we can experience consciousness.
Yeah.
Holy moly, right? Because the nervous system is what receives all the stimuli from the environment and even our internal environment, and sends them to the brain when we create it, which is part of the nervous system, which creates a reality or gives it meaning to what we're living, and then it conveys the information back there. Even a thought can have an influence on our physiology and on the world. So the convergence point is the central, is the nervous system, right? Whether it's the central, the autonomous, the peripheral, different parts. But the point is that this nervous system, as a system, it can go into an optimal state, a suboptimal state, or a standard state of functioning. And if it is in a suboptimal state, then it means that we are having a suboptimal quality of life. How does it get there? Because too much stress has been accumulated and not discharged. Too much stress has been accumulated and not properly managed. And that's what it happens when we get stressed and we think it's going to get there. It's going to fade away. And it does not. And we keep locking in more, right? And so the opposite is true. If we have, first of all, a nervous system that is working optimally, a nervous system that is flexible, a nervous system that knows how to recover, not knowing only from an intellectual point of view, but knowing really what works for us. It could be, in my case, 15 to 20 minute power naps. Amazing. I even dream in that time.
Wow.
Right. Or it doesn't have to be you must sleep 7 hours. No. I have people or even clients that they sleep, let's say, from 10 p.m. let's say 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Then they have
shift sleeping.
Yep. And then the second sleep, and in between here they are or meditating or so many creative ideas, and they go all in, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful use of time. Actually, the Greeks used to call it having your second time.
Yes.
Your second sleep, sorry. So what I mean is that the nervous system, every nervous system is unique. And on top of that, every nervous system is unique and it constantly changes. Yeah. So it's an ever-changing snowflake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, right?
That's so good.
Now, having this compassion with oneself and the experimenters or the researchers' mindset is like, how did this system work? How can I optimize it constantly, removing the stress, but also bringing also stress so that we can increase flexibility within the nervous system? No stress, no growth. We talked about that.
Right.
No stress, no growth. But this stress creates wreaks havoc in the system. So it is this balance of navigating and dancing with stress in a way that we're never exempt of stress, but at the same time we need it in order to grow. So this is where the nervous system comes in the picture.
And how is that impacted by, like, when you start doing the breath work itself? And can you also explain the importance of rest and recovery in that life experience of lots of stress?
Let's talk about first the rest and recovery. Many people, they confuse rest with recovery. The reason is that, for example, if I would have my cell phone right there on the table, let's say, and I let it just stay there for 24 hours. Well, nowadays less than that because the brand that I cannot mention, their battery lasts shorter. So, so less than 24 hours, it would go away, the battery, and it's over, right? Yeah. What it happens is that it was resting. Yeah. Now, if my phone, I would plug it there. Now that is charging, that's recovery.
Okay.
That's a huge difference between rest and recovery. Many people think over the weekend, I'm going to recover when they're saying rest, right? And they take a little bit, but they're not investing in their nervous system to go back into an optimal state. Rest doesn't only mean just laying down on the couch and doing this. Recovery doesn't mean that. It could be rest for sure. Rest is basically a pause in work. Recovery is applying active ways to get you back onto your optimal state. Recovery could be even relaxing, even active recovery. It could be rest or having a night of sleep that is structured to your recovery. Today, for example, I have this one. We have the session. I have this one. I have at least a 10-hour or more event after this. Last night it was strategic for me to recover. Right. Not only rest, recover, because I need to be at my optimal to deliver all of this one and still come out at the end of this feeling amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, one of the ways, there are multiple ways to recover. I call it precision recovery, the way that every nervous system requires to recover.
Yeah.
But one of the most effective ways is to apply breath work. Now, when I talk about breath work, I'm talking about specifically superventilation. So what does breath work mean? Breath work is a series of breathing techniques, from the simplest ones, from the most subtle and soft ones to the most active ones. So if I go to the most active, let's call that one superventilation. What we're doing here is huffing and puffing in a structured way, instead of doing it out of a stressor that hit our body, or we got into a panicky situation and we're like hyperventilating in an erratic way. No, we're doing it in a structured way with a purpose. What is the purpose? To increase the stress in the system, to allow the system to adapt and then relax. So it's a structural stressor that we are adding there. And by doing so, the stress is getting offloaded. And we talk, for example, about levels of cortisol or adrenaline. We're shooting them, but then allowing them to come back, instead of having this stress that is slowly accumulating, what I call microdosing with stress. Right? Does that answer your question about breathwork and rest and recovery?
Absolutely. I think in addition to that, I guess how do we experience that? I guess in more dumbed down sense of like, how would that feel to actually?
Now let me ask you that question. And the reason is that every nervous system is different. And we were talking, which I asked, like it was 20 minutes ago or so. I can try to do my best to describe what this this recovery state feels, but every nervous system is different. So I would like to ask you, how does it feel?
I feel very at peace right now, and a little slower as far as coming up with actual words.
Yeah.
Just kind of like hanging out. Yeah.
What's interesting to me is that I wasn't expecting to have the spiritual connection, right? I wasn't expecting that. I was really, because I am in a pretty intense state of stress on a daily basis. I was actually quite scared that I was going to just start bawling. But how I feel right now is trusting and relaxed and comfortable and at peace and very zen state. But I'm also picking up like extrasensory information like pretty consistently right now as well. And I know the difference because of my own personal practices. So like, it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
In my case, how does recovery feel? When I'm doing the practice, I receive downloads, different than yours. But in my case, those are ideas that I have, at least 15 to 20 ideas that I receive. So I have my own ways to remember them. That doesn't mean that all of them are good, but that means that my brain is getting creative again. Yeah. Pretty cool. And after that, Zen. I'm starving. Usually.
Yes. I'm definitely anticipating some good journaling a little bit later.
Yeah. Beautiful. That makes total sense.
So that's the reason I wanted to ask back that question, because like I mentioned, every nervous system recovers different, or is the sensation of recovering, not cognitively, but this visceral sense that we're trying to make our best to describing words, knowing that we'll never be able to fully describe in words. Otherwise, there will not be art.
I still can't get over the vibrating body, the full vibrating body experience just from breathing. I'm that part still is like messing with my head because this is my first time ever doing a breathwork session. So yeah.
It was pretty intense. It
Yeah.
almost felt like you were levitating a little bit.
That's what many people report. Yeah, and obviously there is I can bring as much science or objective experience. Nevertheless, the subjective experience is for me what really matters. For example, my dad, when we are facilitating for him, he always tells me, I feel that I'm or levitating or I am in this lake and I'm floating and everything is green or turquoise and right. But every nervous system will go back into those points. Every nervous system will go back into a point that makes him or her feel safe and at peace.
What would you say is your personal practice? Because you teach so many others how to do this and give them this type of guidance. Do you find yourself, because you do a lot of breathing while you're with us in those sessions, and so do you do something outside on your own and continue that practice just for yourself?
I'm doing it right now.
I love that.
I'm becoming aware of the way that I'm breathing.
Wow.
So for me, every breath is a rep. When you do it consciously, every breath is a rep. And so the moment that we engage our awareness into the breath, we're already applying breath work, right? Especially the moments that, for example, we are under stress and we realize we don't even need to do the deep inhales, nothing. Just become aware like, oh, okay. That consciousness, that level of awareness changes everything, changes the state in a second. You can let it go and keep our breathing, or you can let it go or change the fluctuation of that and hold or exhale longer, whichever. But moving the awareness gets back to it. And you're right. During the week, I'm going to other people's classes, learning, doing my own tests. This morning, before coming over here, I was testing a few YouTube videos that I wanted to test for a guy that I would like to interview in the podcast, etc. So I'm constantly doing all of this, and at the same time, it is not only those moments of high intensity that matter.
Yeah.
It also matter. They also matter the moments when we are engaged in relaxed conversation, just getting chill, right?
Deepening that connection.
Exactly.
Yeah,
With
agreed.
oneself first, which connects with other ones. It's co-regulation of nervous systems.
I love that. That's beautiful.
I had another question and then I was just so...
So Zen,
I know. I told you.
now I have a question for you.
All
Okay.
right, here we go.
And I want you to be fully honest, fully transparent. Otherwise, we can cut it. Anyway.
It's so true. It's so true.
And the question is, what was your thinking process? Because this is your first time doing something like this.
Right.
What was your thinking process before the experience and after the experience? Was there any anxiety, or was there some resistance, or during the practice? What was it? How was it? How did it change?
I can totally answer that question.
You can start.
For me, I was a bit nervous, mostly because I'm still working through my own personal self-love on how my body is not in shape. And so I was worried that the breath work, having been told that it has a physical exertion to it, I was worried that was going to impact me and I was going to feel embarrassed. And so, but honestly, your presence is so comforting, and I did not get that sense from you, like that of judgment, like whatsoever. And so that was really helpful to not feel so insecure. But yeah, that was mine.
On the way here, I think there was a little bit of stress just as far as having to make it here on time and wanting to make sure everything was set up correctly, since this is our first time doing a 3-person podcast.
I'm super impressed with ourselves right now.
Yeah, 3 casting. I didn't want to say a 3-way, guys. So, But I was actually really looking forward to this. I had a lot of excitement around this because I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've been wanting to come to your sessions. You actually teach fairly regularly at Casa de Luz, downtown Austin. And I've been wanting to go to that for a while. It's just, it's kind of hard to make it there sometimes, on your recovery days, or resting days, whatever you want to call it. And so I've allowed that to kind of hinder me from getting down there. And then, my husband is actually the one that set this up. So he got to experience this first, and that made me a little jealous. But it also presented him with the opportunity to give me a very wonderful Valentine's Day gift. So this session being that, and then you gifting this interview to us in addition to that has been fantastic. But honestly, like I try to approach these things with, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Just being open to the experience. And so I think more than anything, it was just excitement.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Because, for example, what you've gone through, in many cultures, they even consider it an initiatory process.
Mm-hmm.
There is a bonding when someone has a peak experience. Both of you have had the notion that, wait a second, my body is doing this and I'm feeling this one. This moment you're going to remember for a while, right? And that also poses a huge responsibility on the facilitator, because I'm not doing something for you. I'm not breathing for you.
Mm-mm.
I'm just calling the shots, inhale and exhale. And if you want, you can follow along, right? And having that level of rapport is so fulfilling as well for a person that is leading this, knowing that this is not something that I'm doing, it's something that we are co-creating, the three of us in this case.
Yeah.
I love that.
Agreed. We honestly could not be more grateful to not only have you join us here in our podcast today and share such a beautiful story and expression of you to our audience and to us, but to have given us this opportunity to work with you and have that type of class and have this type of rapport while doing so. It's pretty special, and you don't get that every day. And so it's just kind of what a great day. What a great day. Thanks her husband for also buying my ticket. So we appreciate that.
We're just going to do a quick little time check so we respect your time.
Yeah.
So just a couple final questions as we wrap up. So first off, I wanted to know, do you have any quick tidbits, guides, suggestions to maybe our audience could take with them forward from this point as they start their discovery process into the wonderful world of breathwork?
Yeah, let's go with the daily ones because daily at any moment that we can apply, right? So if I would ask you both to stop breathing right now, wherever you are, stop it there. And now inhale wherever you are. Nose, 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 nose. Hold at the top. Open the mouth. First thing, becoming aware of the breath. Keep breathing normally. So the first thing, like we said, is becoming aware of the breath. So playing with this idea of catching oneself, right? Like, oh, look at that. I caught myself. Maybe exhaling and holding and creating that tension, or I caught myself on the inhale. Oh, that's cool. I caught myself at the exhale. So playing with the breath itself, just becoming aware, letting it go. Becoming aware, letting it go. How long does it take? A few seconds. Nothing. Yeah. Right. So the notion of becoming aware with the breathing is key, because it is. I was mentioning this idea of having a helm in a boat, and if you don't know where the boat is heading, it's because no one is driving it, and that may be the Titanic. So just becoming aware is like, hell, are we in a good direction? Yes, we are. Okay, you let it go. Are we there? Yeah. If it's not going in the direction you want, left, right, start readjusting course. Yeah. Now, how do we readjust course? Two principles that we need to understand are that any inhale stimulates the system, any exhale relaxes the system. Even more intense inhales bring up more blood flow. Longer exhales relax even more the system. Okay, So if someone feels groggy, for example, during the morning, etc., or even before a presentation, or something like this happened yesterday, for example, I was still a little feeling low in energy right before a presentation that I had. So this one is called fire breath, or someone can do what is power breath, which is 30 of those ones, hold for or rest for 30 seconds or so. Another 30 of those ones increases adrenaline, but it doesn't increase it to a peak that is overwhelming, but it slowly starts ramping up the systems, warming up the system, gets us alert, and then going down. So that is, for example, in stimulation. In relaxation, what we can do is, for example, inhale for 4 and exhale for 8. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Now, many people ask, so I do mouth, nose, eyes, whatever. You cannot breathe through your eyes, but okay.
What is the right way?
Another hole.
Yeah.
Like, no, do that hole anyway. Right. So
Funny.
most of the day, inhaling through the nose and through the nose is recommended, even though you may feel that your nose is stuffy. Actually, it's funny because obviously we feel like we're not breathing, so we try to use the mouth, but that is actually creating more complications in the long run. So forcing oneself to breathe through the nose starts opening up the nose. Interesting.
Who'd have thought?
And then the next thing is that because the holes of the nose are not as big as the mouth, then we need more resistance to inhale and to exhale, which it slows down the pace of breathing, which also engages more diaphragm.
It's time under tension.
Exactly. Time under tension, literally. Time under tension. So
That's beautiful.
So nose breathing is resistance training.
yeah, it's resistance training, literally.
Can it be considered as a crunch, like an actual ab crunch?
It could, literally.
Can it replace those? Out of curiosity.
Actually, there is a book called Jumpstart Your System, or Jumpstart Your Metabolism. I'm going to remember, but it is how to regulate the metabolism, especially in nutrition, based on breathwork. I can send the name of the book.
Oh, I'm so intrigued.
By
Me too.
Pam Stroud, if I'm not wrong, is the author. I may be blanking the name, but it's Jumpstart Your System, your metabolism.
I'm gonna have to see that. I'm gonna check that out.
She has this technique that is right before before having a meal. She calls it Kung Fu breath, which is it's like, let me remember, is so what she's doing is inhaling and then creating pressure with the abdomen to exhale, which is increasing the system's warmth for digestion.
Oh, snap.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Wow.
Fun book, very fun.
Yeah. We'll see if we can find that and link that down below.
I can send the notes. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just so fascinating, like all these different ways of doing this and the different effects that are created within the body systems.
And also one thing to mention here is, you may notice, even right now I'm noticing in my system, because of doing this short demo, I want to yawn.
Yeah. I did that a lot when we were.
That is common.
Yeah.
That is common. It's because we're activating the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve, when it activates, it relaxes. Right? So even though we're stimulating the system, that doesn't mean that, we should be only alert. No, we're activating everything. And yawning is another expression of the nervous system. It's like coping with the mechanism, like, and then comes back, but you still feel alert, right?
Yeah.
Now, like I mentioned, every nervous system is different, but the rules are pretty much the same. Every inhale stimulates, every exhale down regulates. Now, that doesn't mean that you must do box breathing to do specifically this. BS with that. If box breathing doesn't work for you, you can use, for example, other type. Let's say triangle. Instead of box is inhale, hold, exhale, hold for the same amount of time. Let's say 4 inhale, 4 hold, 4 exhale, 4 hold. What about triangle? 4 inhale, 4 exhale, 4 hold. What about reverse triangle? 4 inhale, hold for 4, exhale for 4. You have equilateral triangle. What about a non-equilateral triangle? 4 inhale, hold for 4, exhale for 8, and go back to inhale. and we can start playing with the.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we can craft our own protocols. Oh, this is what it works for me. I remember I was gonna give. This one was probably. I remember this when I was still working in technology, and I got invited to a DevOps conference here in Austin. And right before the conference, there were probably, I don't know, 200 people or so. I was going to give a talk. I was going to give a talk on the human ops framework. Now that I remember, yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
At a tech at a tech conference, right?
Yeah.
Something that this didn't seem to fit.
Right.
But it's a great story. But the point is that I was about to get it, and I was nervous because it was probably my official separation of the tech industry, right? And I was feeling it. And I remember that what I did is triangle like I did, then box, and then I started elongating my Excels. And that was when I was waiting here and I was seeing the other person there in the presenter right before me. So exhaling, and I can notice how my heartbeat. And you can notice also the buildup of saliva in the mouth, which indicates that your nervous system is relaxing. I didn't need it to get fully relaxed, by the way. I needed to get at a stage that was balanced because I needed to have impact in the presentation. And then I went.
That's impressive.
So what you're saying is there's no wrong way to do the breathing.
Yeah.
Correct. There's no wrong way to breathe. And at the same time, we can craft always, or we can keep optimizing even the way that we breathe. So become curious about the breath, knowing the rules. Inhale stimulates, exhale relaxes. Right?
Build a relationship.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I could never remember fully like when somebody would teach me like certain types of it's best if you like inhale in this way and like do a count, and then you exhale this way and you do a count. Like when somebody would give me those types of instructions, I would never remember it until I applied a shape to it. And so when you call it like the box or the square, right?
Yeah.
And I can always remember that. And you saying the triangle, I will always be able to remember that.
Right, on reverse triangle.
And reverse triangle, right.
We can play with trapezoids. We can play with anything there.
So if any of you guys listening are a lot like me in that aspect, where you're told something and maybe it comes in one ear and goes out the other just about a week later, the visual aspect is really nice.
And by the way, this kind of practices now, since we were talking about daily practices, if we need to go to the gym, let's say, to work out our muscles, and we require a weight of, depending on your strength, of 12, 50, 20, 40 pounds, etc. Here, in this case, with a few minutes of just focused breath, you're already exercising. So the proportion is like that, right? With a few minutes, let's say 2 to 5 minutes at most of any of the practices that you want to craft, or you keep refining yours, you're already practicing. Your nervous system starts remembering that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I would, this has been fascinating, and I can't wait to come down and do another breath session with you at Casa de Luz. I'm really looking forward to that. You said that you also have some other locations around Austin that you do.
Many other locations, yeah.
Can you share your website information so people can find out those locations and come to some of your classes?
So the website is jjruescas.com. JJRUESCAS.com, or if you type Ruescas, you're gonna find me. It's very simple to find me. And then the events is /events, and all the events are there. The stable ones are at Casa de Luz Wednesdays on Sundays, and nowadays some of them I'm doing it at Lifetime Fitness. Coming up soon at Buca, at Kuya, probably Soho House, and other venues around town, and also going to Michigan, going to Miami, going to California, Mexico.
That's amazing.
Last week I was in Latin America, so anywhere that I can take some oxygen. Yeah.
I love it.
That's great.
And if people are also interested in coaching with you, that's also the correct website to find that?
It's also on the website.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
It's also on the website.
And you have a podcast as well?
As well, yeah, the Optimizing Me podcast, where I interview top performers in different areas of their levels of expertise. And my goal is to extract the secrets. Many times in those conversations, obviously there are people that have been to so many podcasts that they know what are the canned answers or the canned responses that I'm going to have. I go beyond those ones. So you will see many times like, I never thought about that question. So, that's beautiful, because they start deconstructing their thought process, and it's memorable. I love it.
Amazing. And special for Love Always Self listeners, JJ has gifted you with 50% off his beginner breathwork exploration session. With this session, you will begin to unlock the transformative potential of your breath, strengthen your nervous system, and become more resilient to daily stressors. To claim this gift from JJ, go to www.jjruescas.gumroad.com and apply the discount code LOVEALWAYSSELF, one word, no punctuation, at the checkout for 50% off. And this will be listed in the show notes.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
We always like to ask our guests that join us at least our one last favorite question. I mean, this is a Love Always Self podcast. So what does self-love mean to you?
Ooh, unconditional love. And when I mean unconditional, coming from a tech background, as a programmer or anything in technology, you're coding something is, if this happens, then this. Else, this other one. What does unconditional love for me means? It is, if this happens, I love myself. Else, I still love myself. Instead of a catch-22, I call it a catch-44.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, JJ, for being
Seriously.
here with us. Thank you for
Yeah.
your time, for your energy, for sharing the breath work with us, and for being on our podcast. We're so grateful.
Thank you. I love what you are doing, and I'm so grateful that we had the chance to share an entire morning. This is beautiful.
you.
Please keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Gratitude.
We also do People's Journeys episodes where people talk more about their spiritual journey. I would love to have you back on as a guest during that
let's
as
talk
well.
about that.
Yeah.
Happy to do so.
Perfect.
Get
Thank you.
emotional and dive
Well,
deep.
We made a date. We're making a date.
Speaking of making dates, why don't you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, notification bells down below. It helps us grow, and it'll help get a lot more reach out there for us. Also, we have social media. We are available on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube Shorts. Guess what?
We also have a website.
What's that website, Carrie?
It's lovealwaysself.com. You can also send us any email if you have any questions or want to present another topic to us that you'd like for us to dive into. You can send us an email at contact@lovealwaysself.com.
And I can't believe I made it through this entire episode with 3 cameras this time and 3 seats. So, hey, thank you again, JJ.
Yay.
All right.
And don't forget, love first
Love last.
and
Love
love always. Yay! Hey, listener, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to our next connection.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on any of our social media platforms linked in the show notes below.
I'm Karista,
And I'm Shyra.
and until next time, remember to love first
Love last.
and love always. Love Always Self podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We do not make any warranties about the completeness, reliability, and accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. Any action you choose to take upon the information in this podcast is strictly done so at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of our podcast. Any and all medical concerns should be addressed with a licensed healthcare provider, as well as any questions that may be derived from the information discussed in this podcast.